Chad Stambaugh, and I am the co-founder of 11th Hour Paranormal. Since late 2008, we started. Well, what happened is originally I wasn't very interested. When I got with my wife, she was more interested in the paranormal than I was. And so we used to watch the shows and everything, Ghost Hunters and all that. And so she decided one day that she wanted to see if there was any local teams in the area in Fresno, California, where we live. And so she went online and we found a team that actually, the leader of the founder of the team actually taught classes, did paranormal 101 classes. So, again, I wanted to do, find something to do with my wife, so I figured I'd go and do this with her. And so we went and we took her class, and we did that for like it was like a 3 months class, and then we went to an actual haunted location here in the local Fresno, California area, and so that's how we got started. Well, I guess my interesting story, like I said before, I was doing this for my wife. And what actually got me hooked and more of a believer than a skeptic is the incident that we have at our home. My wife's home that we live in was actually her grandmother's, and her grandmother died in the room that we're actually doing this interview in. And so she would always visit us all the time. And so when one time I was feeding he's 5 now, I have a grandson, and I had him here with me one day, and I was feeding him. It was just me and him in the house, nobody else, and I was on the couch facing towards him in his high chair, and behind me was an old-fashioned chair, the kind that the real heavy wooden type. It's the kind where you have to actually sit in and somebody move it with their legs and everything. And he was looking over my shoulder like he was interacting with somebody. So out of the blue, I just decided that I was going to see if Grandma was there. So I just turned around and I said, "Grandma, if you're here, could you please show a sign, that you're here? Because I think Gavin sees you, my grandson sees you." I no sooner said that, and her chair moved 45-degree angle towards us, which was like, whoa, I got shivers on my arms and everything else like that. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, but maybe I'm just seeing things or, whatever. So I said, "Grandma, make me a believer. Put that chair back to the original position, please." As soon as I did that, the chair went back to its original position. And I've been a believer and hooked ever since then. We do a lot of private investigations. So we've probably done somewhere between 130 to maybe 150 investigations now. Oh, wow. We're a 14-member team, so we kind of use everything. We'll use, all the basic millimeters, SB7, trimeters, 360 mics, other types of recorders. My favorite machine that I like to use is a machine that we got from a company in Texas called Paranologies. It is called the TriCam, which is it's a mobile DVR system that I can actually carry around with headphones on my head, and it has two speakers on each side, and they're independently, so I can hear if there's an EVP or sound coming from the left or the right. And then it's got 3 cameras on, 2 facing forward, and then 1 facing back towards me. So that way, if we get any type of evidence, nobody can come back and say, "Oh, well, we don't know what you were doing behind the scenes." With this type of camera DVR system, you can see all 3 of the cameras and the thing at the same time. So there's no way, if we do get some kind of evidence, you can't debunk it. Believe it or not, it's actually because, again, we do private investigations. My favorite part is seeing I guess, our customer or client um, being satisfied and feel relief that we've come in and either debunked what they thought was paranormal, or if they do have something paranormal, we can recognize it and let them know what it is. And to me, that is the most important, is giving people relief and being able to take over their lives again in their own homes. Because a lot of times when we get people, they're very distraught because they don't understand what's going on in the house. All they know is things may be moving around, they're hearing things and stuff like that. And because they're not in the paranormal, they don't understand it, they're very scared. So when I can come in with my team and kind of explain it, either, like I said, either it's not paranormal or it is paranormal, and we can give that person or whole family a peace of mind so that, they can move on with their lives one way or the other. That to me is the most important, because that's why my team, at least, that's why we're in it. You know, that's always in the back of my mind, and you can get hurt two different ways. You can actually get hurt spiritual wise, or you can get hurt the natural wise, depending, the type of building that you're in. A lot of times, if you don't do those safety precautions and during the daytime before you go in and do an investigation, you can get hurt. So you got to take all those things into consideration. So yeah, I am concerned that either myself or one of my teammates could get hurt. We don't necessarily dwell on it, because if you're dwelling on it, then you're thinking more about trying to stay safe instead of focusing on what you're actually there trying to do the investigation. We take a lot of safety precautions. We have what we call a paranormal safety equipment bag, where we have band-aids, ace bandages, all stuff like that, in case somebody gets hurt. Just not on natural, on paranormal. But the paranormal side, we also do. I should probably a beginning prayer at the beginning, and then we'll do a cleansing prayer at the end of each investigation. And then, because our other members, we are kind of like scientific and metaphysical, so we have some mediums on our team. So we always are able to put like personal bubbles around us for protection also. Now, that doesn't mean that, if we get into a malevolent case that we do, occasionally, that we won't get attacked, because, we have been attacked before. But because of our protection bubbles and stuff that we do to be careful, we usually don't get hurt. But yeah, thinking about being hurt is always in the back of our mind, but like I said, we can't dwell on it. Oh, tips. Yes. Read as many books as you can. You go on Amazon, there's so many different books out there. I'm an author, paranormal author. I have books out there myself. Anybody that's interested, read. And I mean, not everything you're going to find in the book is going to make sense to you, or you want to use it. But you want to make sure that you're reading everybody's type of, different types of books out there. Ask questions. Facebook, social media is huge right now. And if you're on social media, like especially Facebook, you want to, ask questions. If you got something that you need to know or you want to know, there's more than enough people out there that would help you. And if you find somebody that does want to help you, then go on to the next one. Don't be embarrassed, because there's no such thing as a stupid question, okay? If you don't know it, you don't know it. That's one way to be able to grow, is to ask questions. Also, I think everybody should find a mentor, especially for new people coming in. See if there's any teams in your area, and if there's nobody in the area, then go again on Facebook and find somebody who's willing to talk to you in the background as a mentor. I've had 3 mentors since I've been in the field of the paranormal, and they've helped me out a lot, and a lot of the knowledge that I've gained from them, I've turned around and given to other people. connect with other investigators. Like I was just saying, connect with other investigators and just ask questions. Now, not everything is going to resonate with you from what they've said, but take what sounds good to you and use it, and then maybe just like, let the rest go. But never be scared to ask questions from anybody. And if they don't want to ask you and they act, I don't know, like an idiot and they don't want to help you out, then that's on them. But there's plenty of people out there that you can ask questions and be able to get an answer that you're looking for. Everybody out there are all worried about demonic things coming through a Ouija board. My personal opinion is Ouija boards are nothing different. They're just another piece of ITC equipment, like your ghost boxes, your SB7s, or whatever you're using. You don't know what's coming through. It could be bad or good. Okay, a lot of times with Ouija boards and like other ITCs, it's the intent that you're putting into it. If you're asking questions for the good, and this is my opinion, if you're asking questions for the good, you're going to get good answers back. If you are out there acting like an idiot and you ask bad questions, then maybe something bad's coming through. So for me, Ouija boards aren't bad. Now, we personally don't use them, but to me, a Ouija board is nothing different than using ghost boxes and stuff like that. It's just the intent that what you're getting out of it. Well, a lot of the equipment out there, they weren't originally made for paranormal investigating, like your K2s and some of the other stuff out there. It was made for other reasons. Your millimeter is good, and it comes back to what you're using that piece of equipment for. If you're using the equipment that you're using properly and the right frame of what that piece of equipment is supposed to do, like your millimeters, K2s, use them to check your EMF fields when you're doing a baseline reading. So that way when you're doing your actual investigation, if something changes to that EMF field, then you possibly got something. So I can't say that there's one piece of equipment that I say works better than others. My TriCam is my favorite because I can do 3 things at once with that. But when it comes to the equipment, overall I would say there's nothing one thing better than the other, because as long as you're using it in the proper procedure of what that equipment actually was made to be for, then it's a good piece of equipment. If you're using it for doing something that it wasn't made for, then obviously it's not going to be a good piece of equipment because you're not using it properly. So it's not the equipment, it's actually the operators, the paranormal investigators, having the knowledge and the education of how to use that equipment properly. The worst thing I've ever come across, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, we did a malevolent case up in Stockton, California, dealing with Charles Manson and his disciples, and a motorcycle gang that was interacted in the same type of house. It was really dark. A lot of team members got attacked, and it was something that was hard to deal with. And so we had to do extra protection. I actually had to take my wife out at one point. She was getting overwhelmed so bad that I actually had to physically take her and another person out of the house because they were being attacked, so that they would calm down and get their wits, per se, back before they could come back in and help the family with that house. I think they are made of energy. Okay, and if you listen to the biblical side, you either go to heaven or you go to hell. I feel that that's not all of it. Okay, I feel that some energies are able to stay here, or if they did go on to one of those places, have the energy to come back. I think a lot of the souls that we're coming up with are people that don't know they passed away, and so they're walking around thinking that they're still alive and everything's normal, because in their reality they're probably going through a loop of their own reality, and so they don't know that they're dead. People that, like I said, have passed on, moved to heaven, and have the ability to come back, because they come back as people's guides, spirit guides, or angels, whatever you want to call them. So, we have a lot of interaction, and I think that there's what I call a veil between our reality and their reality, and it's a lot closer than we realize. And a lot of times when things are happening, I think if you talk with David Roundtree, there's vortexes out there that makes the veil thinner in certain areas when certain happenstances are going on, for these energies to be able to go from their dimension into our dimension. Okay? And so that's what we're picking up. And so that's another reason why you could go to a haunted location one time and get a whole bunch of EVPs and get a lot of paranormal evidence, go another time and you don't get anything. Because I feel that veil is not open when you go back and you don't get anything. I think the veil has changed or is closed down at that time. So you're not getting anything. It's very rare in the cases that we do that you will get a lot of evidence every single time at certain locations. A lot of times also, some of the spirits that you're talking to aren't really what I call intelligent haunts. You're actually getting a residual haunt, where certain things only happen at certain times because that energy is strongest at, say, in October, because maybe that's when that entity had passed away in October, or wherever they're at, they've done something over and over again, like a soldier in Gettysburg walking back and forth. That energy is there so much because he's done so much that's left an imprint. And so that's what you're getting. Okay? So that's my opinion anyway. When I first started out, I was a non-believer. I'm still a skeptic, because you can't just go into, especially because we do private investigations, you can't always go in and saying, okay, it's a spirit. You got to go in with a little bit of skepticism, because not every investigation is actually going to be paranormal. Sometimes you're going to go into an investigation and you're going to find a natural reason why certain things are going on. They got attics. They could have floorboards that are creaking from expanding and closing up. You could have some old piping, old wiring in a house. For example, we did a house one time, and people were getting a lot of paranormal activity in their kitchen and dining room. And when we went in and did the pre-investigation, and I did my baseline reading, found out that the wiring in the kitchen was really bad because it was an older house. And so we did a lot of taking face plates off and everything, and we found out that a lot of the plastic coatings on the electrical in this house was pretty much almost gone. So they had a higher than normal EMF reading in their house. We found that out, told them about it. We asked, we recommended them to go get an electrician, come in and redo the wiring. They did that. 6 weeks later, after the rewiring was done, they stopped having their paranormal activity, because the EMF readings went back down to the normal where they should have been. Because if you have too much high EMF readings, the brain, from those EMF readings, the brain starts having hallucinations and other things like that, and it makes you think that you're seeing things or hearing things when it's not really there. So, things like that you have to check. You're not always going to go into an investigation, and it's not always going to be paranormal. Upcoming projects. I have a couple things going on. I'm finishing up my next book. My fourth book is coming out. It's called Beyond the Veil. Spiritualist Guide to God, Man, and Ghost. That'll be hopefully coming out in April. I'm also co-authoring on another book with another person. It's a project that I can't talk about right now. It's still kind of in the secret. Research-wise, I'm going to be hopefully doing some work with, like David Roundtree does with vortexes. I'm going to be beginning a Tesla coil and a smoke machine, a couple of that. So I'm trying to see about correlation between when there's paranormal activity, if there are some kind of vortexes or an opening of the veil during that paranormal activity. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm going to be doing coming up this year.
What are